Cuba, it's me. Welcome to episode 268 of The Willu Show, which stands for Wrestling is Life. Life is Wrestling. Now, today I wanted to talk about priorities and sacrifices. How many times have you blew off something or somebody important for wrestling? Like a friend or a family member or a significant other? How many times did they have something special happening and you had to say, sorry, I can't make it. I'm going to a wrestling show. Or how many times have you had to call in sick or book a day off from work or face getting fired or even quit a job to go for wrestling? How many things have maybe your children, if you have children, how many times have you not been around for special days for them because of wrestling and that kind of stuff? That's what I want to talk about, sacrifices and priorities. For me, there's been a lot of instances. I dated a couple girls, and I've not been there for their birthdays. I haven't. I've had an anniversary with them, and I had to go wrestling instead. And you know what? I tried my best to make it up for them because they know when they got with me that wrestling is life. Life is wrestling. As far as family members, yeah, there's been times. I mean, I moved halfway across the country for wrestling, and so I couldn't be with my family members and my close friends, and I had to make new friends. So my close family members, they understand. They know that I'm always going to be there for them, and that that wrestling is priority. And especially when I was younger, that maybe I could have made something out of it. And now the chance is very slim now, but still, it's hard now because the cameraman definitely comes first. So my outlook on that has definitely changed. Where before wrestling was always first, now wrestling is second to the cameraman, but I pick wrestling over pretty much anything else in the world. Um, as far as jobs, man, I quit so many jobs for wrestling because I did a lot of temp jobs, and sometimes they would want me to work on the weekends, and I was just like, I can't make it. My availability is only Monday to Friday. Or I've actually quit jobs because they wouldn't give me time off because I needed to leave on a Friday. And so I would call in sick, or I would end up getting fired because I would call in sick. Actually, the most times I've actually got more in trouble, or not in trouble, I guess, I've had a string of bad luck at jobs because what would happen is I would get injured wrestling, and then I wouldn't be able to perform my job when I came in on Monday very good. And I remember one time when I worked at this golf course, I got my final warning. Like I would come in. That was when we were wrestling 2 times a week. We would do a Thursday show and a Sunday show, and then sometimes there would also be shows on Friday and Saturday. So my body was taking quite a toll, and that was at also around the time like 2005 to 2008 where I was putting my body way more on the line than I would do now and trying some crazy inventive things. So I was in a bad way, and I would come in limping or barely able to walk. And when you work at a golf course, it's all physical. It's all like cutting the grass and digging holes and that kind of stuff. So I mean, it also helped me too to work through the injuries. Like if I can do my job, then I could wrestle again the next show. But man, yeah, I got a lot of final warnings of, all right, if you miss more time or you can't perform or you got to be on light duty anymore, then we're gonna have to let you go. And yeah, there's been a lot of times with girlfriends, like I said, friends. If you're a friend and you don't understand that wrestling is first, then well, how good of a friend really are you? Like you're gonna try and get mad at me for trying to pursue my dream or trying to make me feel bad because oh, I didn't want to go to the concert with you because I'd rather be wrestling. Like, oh, sorry, dude. Did you not know this when you met me? Like, but people always think that, oh, it's just a hobby. And I mean, I guess for some people it is, but my hobby consumes me. That's all I think about. It's all I want to do. And if that opportunity comes up, like some of the greatest things for me other than wrestling and the cameraman, I really like hockey or like baseball or sometimes like playing a video game. But if someone said, "Hey, I got you front row tickets to the Vancouver Canucks game," and I was supposed to wrestle that day, I'd be wrestling. I'd have to sell them or something like that, or you know, and that's that's the thing about most wrestlers. They're willing to sacrifice. And also, how many times when I first started have I done wrestling shows with very little to none pay because you're just trying to get in. Like you go and you help with the ring, and then they give you a spot, and they're like, "Oh, I only have $10 for you." It's like, well, maybe you like my work, maybe you'll make it up to me next time. Or like when I first started, I was trained, and I did the ACW shows, but because I was in training, there was no talk of payment. You came, you set up the ring, you set up the chairs, you wrestled, you didn't get paid, you took everything down. You know, it's paying your dues, but you know, it was all worth it in the end. So I want to know what kind of sacrifice, even if you're just a fan, like how many times have you, your girlfriend or someone or your boyfriend or whatever, or you know, someone's even how you get distracted by wrestling. You're just sitting there watching Monday Night Raw, and they're telling you something important, and you're like, mm-hmm, yeah, oh, that's nice, honey. It's like, oh, I lost my job today. Oh, that's good. You know, you don't even know. You're not even paying attention because you're so consumed with wrestling. And that's one of the things, though. I think the people that really actually make it the farthest are the ones that have their priorities straight, and the ones that they consume their whole lives with wrestling. Because if you don't, you're not gonna do it. Because there's a lot of people that do consume their lives with wrestling and make all the sacrifices and make it their priority, traveling as far as they can for little or no money just to get exposure, just to get in people's good graces, racking up their credit card bills to invest in themselves for gear or for, you know, gym training or like a personal trainer or for wrestling training, and putting themselves in debt with hopes of one day being able to make it up to themselves financially and whatnot. To me, it's the same as you want to be something. You want to be a doctor, so you go to college, and you know you get a student loan that takes you 12 years to pay back, but eventually it can be worth it. But it's got to consume you. You got to commit your whole life to learning about how to be a doctor and passing all these tests, and then you become a doctor, and it takes you years to finally break even and start making good money and pay off your student loans. But in the end, it definitely can be worth it. And I want to hear from you guys. What are some of your? I like the funny stories too. Like, has there ever been like a funny story where you've had to blow somebody off for wrestling, or you've had to something was important to everybody else, but to you, wrestling was the most important thing? Because always on the Willow Show, like her, you get a leg drop, comment her, you get a clothesline, subscribe, or you get a suplex. I'm your host, Elian Habanero. I love wrestling. Cuba.